Well, hello everyone. I guess we're starting now. um, Thank you all for being here. Um, so today, we're going. Well, actually, through the whole month, we're going to be going through James, which has a lot of nice practical insight, a lot of good stuff. And today specifically, I wanted to start out with just kind of talking about this, like, kind of post coming back from pandemic kind of thing, like, especially in this class particular, you know, straight up, we've definitely, like, lost some people who were attending here and stuff like that, and there've been some quiet classes and stuff like that. But you know, I think a lot of people here have experienced like dips in their group before, and you know, even in like the church setting and stuff like that. And I just want to start the class by opening it up and like us talking about our experiences with past like dips in our church group and stuff like that, and like how we felt, how we ended up handling it, kind of thing. So
I've always kind of been a wanderer.
yeah,
I kind of jump from group to group. So I've probably been with this group the longest, though. Which is kind of sad. I've been here for what, 2 years, 3 years.
oh, glad you're still here.
It's longer than some people that run it. We've had people
True.
come and go within like 4 months, even,
Yeah.
I think. So.
Whatever happened to Justin? Justin, are you watching?
Yes, yeah.
Justin,
I'll
come,
find you.
Justin, come back. Says your viewers.
I'm lost in Facebook.
Did COVID make it?
He came after COVID.
No, I mean like for you. Just asking. Eliciting conversation. Like, did it make it? Like, did you have to put more forward to actually be here when COVID started? Because it would have been a lot easier to just kind of slip into the bush, you know.
Yeah, I'm pretty slippery.
But I mean, like, just kind
Sometimes.
of like
No, I'm one of those.
disappear because.
I'm
like,
one of those people that'll fall off. It's just hardwired into me for some reason. But,
I'll find you, and I'll
I
bring
know.
you back.
No, I like this group. So if I fall off, I'll be back.
All in all, like as far as main service through COVID time, you were one of the most dedicated.
At the beginning of COVID.
Yeah.
I think it kind of got to me after a while because I kept showing up and nobody else was here, and then I was like, damn, what's the point?
No, there was a decent sized group when I was first part of 416, and then I moved up to Flagstaff. And when I came back, there was no group. Like, there wasn't a group. And that was really weird and hard to come back to. And I think for a little while, it was just like 4 of us trying to do things together. And there's definitely classes where it'd be Elizabeth and me and Paul, and like a teacher from downstairs would come up to teach something. And it was just like, if any of us got sick, it was just you and the teacher, and it's super uncomfortable. You're like, hi.
You're talking about during COVID. It was like,
No, like
Before
way before,
COVID,
like when
yeah.
I first got back from Flagstaff. And so that was one of those things where like it was really easy to find an excuse not to come because you didn't want it to be just you and the teacher. But you had to like let the other people know beforehand because you felt like you're abandoning them if you didn't go. So it was like, you're like, no, I can't just not go because then it's just Paul and the teacher. That won't be nice. So
How many people were here before COVID?
I think we're at 20 something. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
dang. Have you seen any of them like in service or anything like that? Like that, like the people that used to be in this group. Have you seen them in service? Like, just
Oh.
hanging out?
Maybe a couple here and
I was say
there.
like maybe 3 or 4. I
Yeah.
don't even know where everybody went.
Oh, dang.
A lot also changed. Like people moved.
Yeah.
They
Oh,
like,
getting married and.
yeah, things happened, or like just needed to be closer to family. Just
Oh,
in
for sure.
general.
Being like a college kind of group, I mean, people go away.
Oh, that's right.
to college.
Oh, we gotta be in college. What the?
College age, man.
Yeah.
I guess you can be any age and go to college.
Technically,
30-year-olds in college.
Technically, yeah.
not just during COVID time, but like throughout my time at Mesa, like during youth group and here in 416, I've been through some of the dips and I've seen some of the dips. Like when I was in youth group, we were looking for a youth minister, and things just kept like we would find one, and then something would happen to where like we would lose them or they just didn't work out, and so like we had random people coming to teach our class, and so there was like no structure in it. Like at one point, I think we did like team building games on Wednesday nights and singing. That was frustrating in the sense that I was like, I want to learn something. I'm here to learn something. Like I'm not here to just team build. Like I have relationships here, and I'm wanting more out of this than just fun and socialization. I want something more. And then like there was more stability, and then coming into 416, like it's definitely gone through its highs and lows, its fluctuations. And yeah, I mean I've seen everything from a huge young singles group to young adults group to hardly anything to more again, and it's constantly fluctuating. And at times it can be really discouraging, but like, I mean, even just today, like seeing everybody who's here, having like a core group, like that's very encouraging.
Absolutely.
I think we were at our peak right before COVID.
I would agree. At least from the time I had been here. Yeah.
I think for like during COVID, like especially when I guess like the start was when they weren't meeting here anymore, and then like right before, or I mean like when the congregation wasn't meeting in person for like it was like a month or 5 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
And then like before that, we're like like other churches or congregations in the valley were like like we're kind of defying like public health safety directives by like meeting, having large groups and all that. I remember it was like the Sunday before, the 2 Sundays before, I was like, should I be here? Like maybe this is the last time we're gonna meet for a while. Like who's like being brave and coming, But like during COVID, especially after we started meeting in person again, the congregation started meeting in person. For me, like I get a lot of encouragement and to myself, and I feel like I can be that to other people. Like even if I'm like getting sleepy during the service, like Bible study, like just being here, like kind of like a little bit of fellowship afterwards, is like a big motivation for me to be here in person. And then like having that break where you're meeting in person, and then like not very many people being here after that. Like it was like, well, maybe I'll just stay home, like then I don't have to get up and get dressed and watch the service in my PJs if I watched it at all, Like, and then knowing that there weren't people that I would like usually talk with or visit with, that they weren't here, was like, it was like I used that as my excuse for not being here in person. Like, well, I'm not gonna get what pushes me the most to be here in person. I'm not gonna get that this Sunday, so I might as well not be here, And so for me, like it's been kind of hard to like get back in that mode because I got used to like not having that, I'm like, well, I guess I didn't like it wasn't such a huge motivator. I just stay home today.
No, I agree. Like it's tough when your usual friends aren't there, and like just getting into the mode of the routine again. Definitely a tough process. I was like, oh wait a minute, I have to allot time to make lessons. How did I do that again?
Or like I have to be dressed and sociable.
Honestly,
it's almost like I lost like I don't know. Sorry, like I lost like my being in public like social skills a little bit.
Yeah.
That was a hard one. Like getting up, getting ready, coming here, and just always knowing how like there's something about Sundays. I'm always tired on Sundays. I think everyone is. And so like it was so hard. It was so easy to just be like, I can watch online with like my parents if they're not
Yeah.
going, or you know, whatever, and then I can just be home, and that's nice, and my day feels longer.
Yeah.
And that was one of the hard things is
Like
getting back into the
transitioning
routine
back.
and that transition again, for sure. But it did get to a point where I was like, you know, I wonder if like there's a couple people that from 416 that are going. I wonder if I start going, if it'd be encouraging, if more people would start coming because more of our group is there. And so that was kind of my motivator for coming back.
Thank you so much all for sharing. Um, I think a lot of us have experienced a lot of things, and you guys kind of touched upon like a lot of what I'll be going through. But to start, I'm going to read through James 1, 1 through 18. James, a servant of God and the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes scattered among the nations, greetings. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. If any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double minded and unstable in all they do. Believers in humble circumstance ought to take pride in their high position, but the rich should take pride in their humiliation, since they will pass away like a wild flower. For the sun rises with scorching heat and withers the plant. Its blossom falls, and its beauty is destroyed. In the same way, the rich will fade away, even while they go about their business. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. When tempted, no one should say, God is tempting me, for God cannot be tempted by evil, nor does he tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when they are dragged away by their own evil desire and enticed. Then, after desire has conceived, it gives birth to sin, and sin, when it is full grown, gives birth to death. Don't be deceived, my dear brothers and sisters. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like the shifting shadows. He chose to give us birth through the word of truth, and that we might be a kind of first fruits of all he created. So, I first want to focus talking about in verse 2 and 12 the blessings of those who persevere and who face their trials. This idea of the reward of perseverance. And as a lot of you have said, we've seen a lot of things, a lot of waves in participation, in community, in numbers. Um, you know, there have been these low points, but after we've continued to have high points as well. You know, and when we think about that as rewards for ourselves, like through our lives, I'm sure there's plenty of times we've thought about quitting and just like, I'm done, I've done enough kind of thing. But, I think it's so valuable to think about the times that came after that. After the low wave, seeing another high wave, thinking about those experiences we did have, those relationships we did make. And I think for a lot of us, we wouldn't trade those those were invaluable experiences and great rewards in itself. So I think, you know, um, that, those are rewards for ourselves. And thinking on the other side of that, we may think from time to time that, if we've dedicated work, if we've dedicated service and seen so many people fall away anyway, like there are times we may think that, our efforts were wasted. But I want to also reassure you guys that that's absolutely not the case. Even though at times we may think so many are gone, like souls were still touched. Like there are those who, even though they're leaving, they are living a stronger Christian life somewhere else. And there are those who do end up returning. Some of you may have heard me just like be in awe recently that a friend of mine from 5 years ago has come to this church now, and we're forging a relationship again. Like I never thought I'd see that person again, but it was a very pleasant surprise. And I think there are those little surprises we've experienced from other people in our lives as well. And even though there may be low points for us, even for service kind of thing, we may think about, this isn't reaching anyone, I'm not at my best. Like, I think there are still points where someone's at a very different place in their life, and that will still reach them. I've seen people come and go, I've seen people return, I've seen people pleasantly surprise me. And even for myself, like everything I've done so far, I owe to the example a lot of people set for me in this room when I first came. Becca was talking about that period where, there was just the four of us for a lot of times, like a revolving door of teachers. Like, from a third person perspective, it wasn't the strongest period we've had, but that was such an influential part to me, kind of thing. And I want you to keep that in mind, for like the future, for when more people come, and there's no doubt that the pain we feel when others walk away, but just as a reminder also that God and Jesus know that pain as well, but they still haven't given up on humanity. And in moments of exasperation, people will give hope and remember the little lights for those who keep trying. I'm sad about the friends who have gone, but I'm also so grateful for every one of you who are here today. And I think we all need to hold on to those little wonderful feelings when someone pleasantly surprises you, and use that feeling not to give up on others and not to give up on ourselves, and not to close ourselves off from those who could be saved in the future. And each time you haven't given up is a treasure to Jesus. And so that treasure, those moments with our brothers and sisters should be a treasure as well. So I want to continue to James 1:19 through 27. My dear brothers and sisters, take note of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry, because human anger does not produce the righteousness that God desires. Therefore, get rid of all moral filth and the evil that is so prevalent, and humbly accepted the world planted in you, which can save you. Do not merely listen to the word and so deceive yourselves. Do what it says. Anyone who listens to the word but does not do what it says is like someone who looks at his face in a mirror and after looking at himself goes away and immediately forgets what he looks like. But whoever looks intently into the perfect law that gives freedom and continues it, not forgetting what they have heard, but doing it, they will be blessed in what they do. Those who consider themselves religious and do not keep a tight rein on their tongues deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless. Religion that God our Father accepts as pure and faultless is this: to look after orphans and widows in their distress and to keep oneself from being polluted by the world. So, with this next passage and going back to verse 4, let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete. I want to talk about the next steps for us. Through the waves and the storms, it is very difficult to hold on and a triumph in itself to be here through these hard times. But even so, there's still more that we can do, and we have the strength in us to keep going. You know, for all of you who have gone through the waves of the highs and lows, like I want to encourage you to keep reaching beyond your endurance, to not just be humble in circumstance, but be a believer, and not just suffer, but look intently at what you've suffered through and learn from it. Take a look at those low moments and how we reacted to the hard times. Face them and know how you can learn to be stronger through these circumstances. And I want to reiterate one more time, you have all made a critical step by standing your ground here. And the next critical step is to not let our hearts die through these times. That the greatest moments of unsurety, still holding your passion and your determination and your faith, that is how we let perseverance finish. And that's how we become complete. It is time to not only stand our ground physically, but we need to not mentally and spiritually run away from our problems, both personally and as a community. Because if we always give in to the darker sides of our grief and our anger and our doubt, only a repeating cycle of suffering lies in wait for that. As this chapter says, only death. You all shared amazing stories, and I'm so glad you were willing to share your experiences and I got to know them. I also did want to share my experience of the low point. Just, some of you know, but like at a previous congregation, there was a major drop off. Come graduation time through high school, I stayed at the church. A lot of my older peers moved away, some fell away. And for those in my own age group, almost everybody fell away. And at the time, my answer to that was do nothing and walk away. If I had kept that up, for any of us, if walking away is always our answer, nothing will change. And again, I have been so impressed with this group ever since I came here. Through the highs and the lows, there has been an awesome amount of dedication to sticking things out. think we learned so much about accommodating a community and connecting with those who come to us. But, I'm thinking there are still future lessons we can learn. With these hard times, I think we may be taught how to better connect to the younger generations, how to better connect with our brothers and sisters of our age, not in this building, but around the valley. But, whatever future lessons that God has in store for us, there's still souls to save. And our souls can still get stronger, and God is still watching our souls. He still holds love for us, and he still has so much more moments of light to come for us. And that's all I have for today.
Got some comments real quick.
Absolutely.
Just to go along with everything you've been saying, like this is such a great passage, and everything that everyone shared at the beginning, talking about like people hanging out at home, or be like, hey, it's just easier to stay home, because I for sure did that too. So I'm not gonna say like, hey, I was perfect in attendance. I'm like, no, it's like I'm tired today. I'm gonna skip class. So two verses that stand out to me is verse 2. It says, "My brethren, count it all joy when you fall into various trials." I feel like this whole COVID pandemic was a trial in a sense to stay in community with everybody. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, it's a trial. It's just like, and what did we do? What did we do with that? It's like we're here now, and it's this is pretty much the fruit of all the decisions you've made. Like everyone that's here, right? It's because you stuck to it. You kept on watching. You kept in community with everybody else. You're here today because you continued. As in, some were like, I forget about it. Like I'm good. I'll just start watching online, or I'll go to another church. And then, so that's the one trial. Then verse 12 it said, "Blessed is the man who endures temptation." I'm just like, man, like how many times do we throw that word around? Like, yeah, I'm blessed. Every time I have a good meal, I'm like, man, I'm blessed, or have good rest. It's like I'm blessed. But it's just like, do we say it's like, man, I'm blessed because I endured this temptation of staying home or going to another church or not being in community anymore? It's like, consider yourselves blessed. Like you guys endured, because there was a temptation to stay home. Like it's easy, it's super easy, and I'm pretty sure none of us have like sent messages to anybody harassing them. It's like, hey, I haven't seen you at church. Like, what's up with you, right? So it's just like it's more of our own self conviction. So I do, yeah, like consider all yourselves blessed. Like you guys are very blessed, and like everybody was saying, appreciate everybody that's here. It takes effort. It's not an easy thing to just get up, especially after a long day at work. I know Tori works night shifts, and I'd be pretty grumpy if I was here after
kudos to him for me.
So yeah, it's cool. It's cool seeing you, man. Like, so I appreciate seeing everybody here. But yeah, you guys are all blessed.
It's like there's definitely the caveats of before this did we have like 30 people up in the cabin or something like that? But yeah, like we've had the times of like big quantities, a lot of people having fun and stuff, but during these smaller times, the blessings, the rewards, like we do have new strong bonds here and there. They don't come in packs of 30s, but
Yeah.
I think, as you were saying, we are blessed, and that's part of our blessing.
Yeah, we endured.
Yeah, but thank you for inputting that.
Thanks for the lesson. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Did anyone else want to have any closing remarks or anything?
I missed the beginning of class. Sorry for being late. Actually, I struggled to get on, but I wasn't feeling well. But I'm feeling better. So going along with your lesson and what Jaime said, I think that this, even though COVID was a trial, I think that now we are set with even more of a challenge to reach out not only to those who we lost in the transition and those who we don't even know if we lost them, because a lot of people have chosen to continue to stay home for their safety or whatever reasons they have. But I feel like we had a lot of time to reflect on where we were as individuals and as a church. And for that reason, now we are being called, like we have always been called, to go and reach out to those who are out there and remind them life is so fragile. So many people died during this pandemic for whatever the reason. And there's so many people that continue to die daily without knowing God. And our jobs is to not only be here and go through those trials and endure and encourage one another. Like, I haven't been very active in 416, mainly because there's so many other things happening. But that's not an excuse. I still try to reach out to people randomly and occasionally to make sure that everyone is doing okay. And I have the same reciprocal thing. I had friends during this time when I was ill, when I did get COVID, people reached out, make sure I was okay, brought stuff to the house. And like Jaime said, on those things is where we truly see our blessings. Because if we only see our blessings when things are going bright and shiny, then we're missing the whole point. God says, even through the, Psalms 23, even if I walk through the shadow of death, He's with us. So if He's with us, there's nothing we can do and nothing we should fear. Thank you.
That's a fantastic point. Thank you so much. All right. We have Curly.
Mr. Brad,